Proverbs 29:23 says, "A man's pride brings him low, but a man of lowly spirit gains honor." We're starting off our series going through the Sermon on the Mount, and this week's video, I want to talk about what it means to be poor in spirit. And to talk about it, we're going to look at the young hero Billy Batson, also called Captain Marvel or Shazam, depending on which comic you read. Now, his origin story changes from comic to comic, but it usually involves Billy as an orphan getting beaten up by some bullies for standing up for a homeless guy who actually turns out to be a magical tiger who works for a wizard. Yeah, comics are weird. The wizard decides that young Billy will be the one to inherit his power. All he has to do is say the word Shazam, and he's transformed into a hero filled with the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury. With these powers, he fights to be a protector of the innocent. What is particularly interesting about Billy is his character. You see, he wasn't the first person to receive this power. Unfortunately, the person who came before him ended up not being such a great guy, and rather than working to protect others, he decided that he wanted to be a god himself.
Is this who I was to protect? Why? Because they are weak? Put her down. When you crush an ant beneath your foot, do you feel remorse? No. Is this because you are evil, or because you recognize yourself as a higher form of life? This is what the wizard could not understand. If I have the powers of the gods, then am I not a god myself? Should I not be treated as such?
Billy, meanwhile, is chosen to be the opposite. Someone who wouldn't be filled with pride, wouldn't be filled with arrogance. Someone who instead was poor in spirit.
So you're what this is all about.
I'm his replacement.
Then let's replace him.
Sometimes it's hard to understand what it means to be poor in spirit. Usually the thing that comes to mind is someone who is sad or depressed, but that's not actually what Jesus is talking about in the Sermon on the Mount. Someone who is poor in spirit is someone who doesn't put themselves up on a pedestal above others. You don't look down on them, but rather you acknowledge how small we all are compared to God. According to God, it's those of us who are humble that are the ones that can be brought into his kingdom. Now let's take a look at Billy. Look how he responds when the wizard tells him that he's looking for someone who is truly good, truly pure in heart to inherit this power.
Oh, but the people you're looking for, good, pure people, I'm not one of them. I don't know if anyone is really.
What makes Billy the right choice for this power isn't because he's worthy. It's because he knows that he isn't. He knows he isn't perfect. He knows he's weak and that he'll fail many times. Likewise, we also need to acknowledge before God that we really aren't worthy either. We mess up, we make mistakes, and we fall short. But it's being humble and admitting our faults that God is able to lift us up. Poor in spirit means we're also willing to associate with the poor and the weak, those that society looks down on. Even when he's outnumbered, Billy still stands up for the poor homeless man, who is actually a magical tiger, but also the other orphans he lives with. In the end, when he gets the chance, he doesn't even keep his power for himself, but shares it with them. He brings together the weak and creates a family, much in the same way that God brings us together in our weakness, gives us his strength, and makes us a family.
What good's power if you got nobody to share it with?
One of the themes we'll see from Jesus as we go through the Sermon on the Mount is that it's what's on the inside of us that's most important, not what others see on the outside. We're going to look at a lot of really cool superheroes over the next 2 months with a lot of really cool powers. But don't forget that the real thing that makes someone a hero isn't what they have on the outside, but what they have on the inside.
Shazam!
Good night, Uncle Dudley.
Good night,